Good evening and thank you for joining us. Starting on Sunday, both Hong Kong and mainland residents will be able to access real-time cross-boundary payment services jointly supported by the People's Bank of China and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. The system allows its users to transfer a daily limit of $10,000 across the border through the linkage of the faster payment system with its mainland counterpart. Timothy Lee tells us more.
A further step towards financial connectivity between Hong Kong and the mainland, with the unveiling of the Payment Connect system at the headquarters of the People's Bank of China in Beijing. 6 banks from each side of the border are participating in the linkage under the first phase of the system. Participating institutions in the city include HSBC, Hang Seng Bank, Bank of China Hong Kong, and Bank of East Asia. Their mainland counterparts include the Agricultural Bank of China, Bank of Communications, and China Merchants Bank. Under the new payment system, users simply have to provide the payee's mobile phone or bank account number, with no transaction documents required. The daily limit for northbound transactions is currently $10,000, while the annual limit is $200,000. The digital service is operational for 24 hours every day. For southbound payments, users are subject to an annual remittance limit of $50,000 each year, or around 390,000 Hong Kong dollars. Such services will be operational from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. Some residents share their thoughts on the measure. This woman said authorities should expand the daily limit to at least $50,000, adding that she often travels to the mainland and needs to make regular transfers to her relatives. While this man said the $10,000 cap is acceptable, but believes authorities should relax all current restrictions on the transaction limit.
Well, there's generally only a handful of reliable, trustable banks in Hong Kong that are big enough that should be able to handle those kind of transfers. I think just these big major banks in Hong Kong should have that ability.
The Hong Kong Monetary Authority noted there are several benefits to its Payment Connect system. They include low transaction costs, as well as support for renminbi remittance or receipt of funds in either Hong Kong dollars or yuan for southbound payments. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Over 900 bankruptcy applications were made last month, marking a 5-year high. A lawyer said among the cases he received recently, some of the clients were resorting to bankruptcy as they were not able to repay their debt after becoming jobless. Samantha Lee reports.
The Official Receiver's Office released the latest bankruptcy application figures. In May, Hong Kong logged 949 bankruptcy applications, up from 811 in April. That's a 9% rise compared with the same month last year. Altogether, over 4,000 people applied for bankruptcy in the first 5 months this year. The May figure marked a 5-year high. The last time when over 900 bankruptcy applications were received was back in April 2022. In the meantime, companies winding up petitions also slightly edged up to 70 in May. However, bankruptcy orders and winding up orders made by the court both declined. Alan Wong, a bankruptcy lawyer, noted a recent hike in inquiries about bankruptcy applications. He said some of the clients resorted to bankruptcy as they were not able to repay debts after becoming unemployed. He added that some businesses chose to close down because of their inability to repay loans. Bankruptcy applicants cannot make major purchases, such as a flat or a car, until the bankruptcy order expires in 4 years. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
On the third day of his tour to Hong Kong, Director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, Shia Balon, met with business leaders and visited Ocean Park. Shia Balon arrived at the central government offices in Admiralty at about 9:30 a.m. to meet with Hong Kong's business representatives. In attendance were Financial Secretary Paul Chan, Haywood Cheung, Chairman of the Hong Kong Gold Exchange, Jonathan Choi, President of the Chinese General Chamber of Commerce, and Winkle Lo, President of the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong, and Stephen Ng, Managing Director of the Wharf Real Estate Investment. After the meeting ended at noon, Shia headed to Ocean Park to see giant pandas Anan and Keke. Shia was accompanied by Chief Executive John Lee and Director of Beijing's Liaison Office, Zhou Ji. He then rode a water taxi to a stone quarry on Lama Island. Hong Kong's composite consumer price index rose by 1.9% in May, compared with the same month last year. That marks a slight dip from the 2% increase in inflation in April. Excluding the government's one-off relief measures, the underlying inflation rate for May stood at 1%, slightly lower than April's 1.3%. A government spokesman said that's mainly due to the lower transport costs and package tour expenses. Electricity, gas, and water prices saw the biggest surge in prices, up nearly 20% year-on-year. That's followed by housing and transport, which increased 2.9% and 2.2% respectively. Clothing and footwear, durable goods, and basic food continue to see year-on-year decreases. The government says overall inflation should remain modest in the near term. U.S. President Donald Trump extended to September 17th a deadline for TikTok's China-based owner ByteDance to sell its U.S. assets or face a ban. Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth that he has signed an executive order to extend the deadline by 90 days. He wants to give his administration more time to broker a deal to bring the short video app used by 170 million Americans under a new company with U.S. ownership. It's the third time Trump has extended the deadline this year. Trump has amassed more than 15 million followers on TikTok since he joined last year, and he has credited the trend-setting platform with helping him gain traction among young voters. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said he will impose new tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminium imports on July 21st, depending on the progress of trade talks with U.S. President Donald Trump. Carney met with Trump at the Group of 7 meetings in Alberta this year. He reiterated that Canada and the U.S. agreed to pursue negotiations towards a deal within the coming 30 days. Carney said he needs to safeguard Canadian workers and businesses from unjust U.S. tariffs that exist at present.
Canada will adjust its existing counter tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum products on the 21st of July. At the end of that 30-day period, in other words, we're going to adjust them to levels consistent with the progress that's made at that point on the broader trading arrangements with the United States. Secondly, we will implement reciprocal procurement rules, ensuring that only Canadian producers and producers from trading partners that provide Canada with tariff-free reciprocal access through trade agreements can compete for federal government procurement of steel and aluminum.
Iran's foreign minister is due to meet the top diplomats of France, Germany, Britain, and the EU in Geneva. This after U.S. President Donald Trump said he is going to decide within 2 weeks if the U.S. will carry out military strikes on Iran. Meanwhile, Israel and Iran have traded missiles and aerial strikes for an 8th consecutive day. David Garrett with more.
An eerie calm in Iran, normally bustling Tehran with empty, silent streets, very few cars and even fewer people. There was an uptick in the number trying to cross the border into Turkey. Many have fled metropolitan areas following Israeli airstrikes in Tehran and beyond, and the fear that the US are about to join.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
China's permanent representative to the UN, Fu Chong, says there should be an immediate ceasefire to kickstart more nuclear negotiations.
For the Secretary General, for us, it remains clear that diplomacy is the only and best way forward. Let's see what comes out of this meeting, but the fact that there is a dialogue between Iran and those 3 European Union countries is a positive in itself, but obviously we'll have to see what the outcome is.
But Iran and Israel are still fighting. Cars on fire in a parking lot of a building in southern Israel. Israel issued multiple air raid alerts across the country. It comes after a hospital was hit 24 hours earlier, for which the Israeli defense minister directly blamed Iran's supreme leader. Israel Katz then said the military has been instructed and knows in order to achieve all of its goals, this man should not continue to exist. 80 patients and medics were wounded in a strike on the Soroka Medical Center in the southern city of Beersheba. Most missiles are still being intercepted by Israel's defenses or broken into fragments which fall to earth. Damage recorded in CCTV footage shows smoke and debris from this partially repelled ballistic missile that blew a hole in the pavement of an empty street. David Garrett, TVB News.
The Chinese embassy in Israel said it has evacuated almost 300 Chinese citizens to safety via the land borders to Jordan and Egypt. 117 overseas students and 2 Hong Kongers were taken to Egypt through the Taba border crossing on Thursday. Some Chinese students in Israel said they were forced to evacuate to a hotel from their bombed campus. They felt relieved as embassy officials showed up to provide necessary support such as food and water and accompanied them during group evacuations, which were carried out smoothly. Chinese ambassador to Israel Zhao Yan noted the embassy is highly concerned and had activated an emergency response, adding the next step would be transferring all the 119 compatriots to Cairo. Meanwhile, authorities announced over 1,600 Chinese nationals have been safely evacuated out of Iran. It is reported some of the evacuees spent 8 hours on bus ride to reach neighboring Azerbaijan and waited almost 10 hours at the border crossing. The government is rolling out a pilot scheme allowing hotels and commercial buildings to be converted into student dorms. Applications are expected to open in the middle of next month. Currently, more than 79,000 non-local full-time students are studying in Hong Kong, nearly double the figure from 4 years ago, with the government anticipating a notable shortfall in accommodation for them. To address this, a new pilot scheme proposes redefining hotel use to allow eligible hotel properties to be converted into student dormitories without the need to submit planning applications to the Town Planning Board or rezone the land use. Developers will also be exempt from removing any excess gross floor area. Covered car parks and unloading zones can be repurposed into facilities such as gyms, study rooms, and laundry rooms. Natural lighting and ventilation requirements will be aligned with those of licensed hotels. For instance, the size of window glass should cover at least 1/10 of the floor area of each room and face streets with a minimum width of 4.5 meters. Developers or operators can submit applications directly without going through universities. Operators are required to submit annual audit reports to the Education Bureau. Approved conversion projects must be completed within 18 months. Lawmaker Lau Chi-pang said the move can allow better management of student accommodation. Casper Choi, executive director of the Federation of Hong Kong Hotel Owners, expressed concerns that converting hotels to student dorms might cut the supply of rooms for tourists. He wonders if the government can offer more flexibility, allowing owners to retain their hotel licenses, while only partially converting properties with more clarity on licensing and regulatory details. A Development Bureau spokesperson said the scheme will not impose restrictions on hostel fees or the types of full-time students admitted. The proposal will be deliberated at the Legislative Council next Tuesday, with applications expected to open around mid-July. China's first and the world's 11th Legoland resort located in Shanghai will officially open next month. Final preparations are mostly completed, with public trial operations commencing today. Rachel Ng reports from Shanghai.
Upon entering Legoland, visitors are greeted by Dada, a 26-meter-tall Lego sculpture designed to spark children's creativity and inspire them to build their own Lego worlds. Adjacent to it is the world's first big Lego coaster, where riders can experience a thrilling drop from the 24-meter peak. Children can roleplay as classic Lego City characters, such as firefighters putting out blazes. For a more relaxed experience, visitors can explore the park via oversized Lego-built water or land vehicles. Shanghai Legoland features 8 themed zones with 75 attractions, blending international Lego aesthetics with Chinese cultural elements. The most eye-catching area is inspired by Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, where rides simulate an adventurous journey through the mythical Flower Fruit Mountain. Mr. Zhou believes that combining Chinese mythology with modern Lego bricks can create something truly unique. He says he will definitely visit often once it officially opens, as the park is captivating. Ms. Zhang marvels over the unexpectedly wonderful experience she had at the amusement park. She points out that online reviews compared it unfavorably to Disneyland, but she ends up agreeing that Legoland is perfect for younger kids. Her son was also overwhelmed by the Lego-built infrastructures all across the park. He thinks everything was cool and detailed. The Shanghai Legoland features thousands of models built with a total of 85 billion Lego bricks. The creative world behind me is a miniature representation of the Yangtze River Delta region, built with over 20 million Lego bricks. The resort is expected to draw massive crowds to Jinshan district. Local authorities confirm robust transport links. including a dedicated bus hub, 15 bus route, and an 18-minute high-speed rail connection from Shanghai Hongqiao International Airport to Jinshan North Station.
然后我们一个是配套建设了一个公交枢纽。
Sun Haimei of the Jinshan Culture and Tourism Bureau explained that local government has coordinated with nearby attractions to offer combo tickets, aiming to boost regional tourism. With its grand opening imminent, Shanghai Legoland is poised to become a new landmark of family entertainment in China. Rachel Ng, TVB News.
New Zealand's Prime Minister was keen to strike the balance between trade and political differences as he visited President Xi Jinping in Beijing. The meeting came at a tense time, with New Zealand suspending millions of dollars in aid to the Cook Islands over concerns about their deals made with Beijing. On his first visit as leader, Christopher Luxon met with Xi, having already been in Shanghai for a couple of days. Luxon said he raised with Xi the necessity to reduce tensions in the Indo-Pacific region and what Luxon called the key role China can play in helping resolve global challenges. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.